Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now. 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And welcome back into another brand new live edition of Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond, welcome back in on a Monday morning. We are live once again from Bill Penney Toyota, sitting out here in the service department. Don't forget, it's affordability, it's rentability. You can rent a Toyota if your car needs to be serviced longer than you need to wait. So like today, being that it's President's Day and nobody has school, nobody has anything right now. I don't think anybody's working. Yeah. The banks are closed. Yeah. City offices are closed. Everything is closed today. So if you need to be out and about today getting your vehicle serviced, you can. $15 an hour. You can rent a vehicle and be around town and do all kinds of other stuff. The doors just opened here, and they have got a nice little crowd piling in here at Bill Penney Toyota. Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and then on Saturday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. What a weekend it was. We've got a lot of stuff, a lot of college basketball, some college football notes, some high school stuff to get through. I mean, there is no shortage of stuff going on, because when we left you, you know what, I feel really bad because Friday I did not realize when I was working there for the state there at State Wrestling.
HSAA,
yeah, and the Sports Commission. Mm-hmm. And by the way, which was a fun time. It's always a long 3 days, but it's fun.
Yeah.
That I gave up a Bubby's Diner breakfast on Friday morning.
I had heard earlier in the week a commercial saying they were going to be on the Zone Deals, and so that had my ears perked up. And then I was told by your steadfast substitute, Steve Moulton, on Thursday night after going on the drive over at another great sponsor, Full Moon Barbecue, that we were going to be out at Bubby's on Friday. And I'll tell you what, Scott, by 8:19 or so, all of Bubby's was sold out. And it sold out quickly, and it was crowded over there. I ended up doing the morning blitz from Bubby's as well because, of course, I was partaking into some breakfast.
Well, you should have.
It was loud, and I'm going to tell you what, Steve was impressed with what I ate because I had biscuit sandwiches, I had bacon cheese, and then I had a John Schulman now, which is a fried bologna and cheese biscuit.
Okay.
I was under orders of John Schulman too. Partake in that biscuit. And then I had a gravy and biscuit and some hash browns. So it was pretty good haul. That's a pretty good haul.
That's a good haul. Yeah. Well, anyway, the action does continue. We'll talk high school basketball as well. Huntsville High put on a dominating performance from State Wrestling.
Sure sounded that way, man.
I have a feeling we're going to be headed their way with a nice check from a Bryant Bank, and we'll fill you in as the week goes on with that. But we start you off with college basketball because over the weekend, Alabama and Auburn back on the hardwood. The SEC up and down weekend. Ernest T. Bass struggles yet again. We start with Alabama, and they continue to do things that we have seen maybe one time in the SEC. And when I say one time, that is hitting the triple digits. Yeah. Alabama hits the triple digits in a win against Texas A&M. Now, if you are keeping track, that is 8 times this year they have done that.
Yes.
Now, according to ESPN stats, no other team in the country has done it more than 5 times this season. Mm-hmm. And the only other SEC team to do it more in the last 30 seasons is Kentucky in 1995 and 1996. The 95-96 Wildcats. They did it 9 times. Mm-hmm. That is going back 30 years.
And I believe that Kentucky team won the national championship.
Well, Alabama, according to Ken Palm, now projected is 14-4 in the SEC. That is the Ken Palm projected rank or projected record for Alabama going forward in the SEC?
Well, if they can get to 14-4, now there's 6 games remaining, Scott. And I said set with 7, 5-2. Well, they got one of them. They soundly whipped the Aggies. If they can go 4-2 in their last 6, I think they can win the SEC. But with some other things that we saw transpire this weekend, and that specifically is the Kentucky Wildcats playing their best game of the year and whipping Auburn in Neville Arena, 70-59. If Kentucky, with the way their schedule sets up, because they play Tennessee on the road, they play Alabama in Rupp Arena, the way the rest of their schedule sets up, their last 6, they could easily get to 14-4 as well.
Right.
So they could run the table. It's not inconceivable them getting revenge. If they can win in Neville Arena, they can win in Thompson Bowling Arena.
And Alabama has played well in Lexington.
Yeah.
But it has been a tough trip for Alabama in the past.
It's a tough trip for everybody usually.
Right.
I mean, this has been an anomaly. Them losing 3 in a row was surprising. But again, they got DJ Wagner back a little bit, in the last game, and so they still aren't completely healthy along the front line, but still, you know what I'm saying. So, with Trey Martin being out, but we'll see. I think there's no doubt that Kentucky is going to be dangerous down the stretch, and Tennessee. What I think this weekend tells you to me is that it's now, I've been saying it was Alabama, Auburn, or Tennessee to win the league. I think that's been replaced with Alabama, Kentucky, and Tennessee. And I think Kentucky, I'm going to say they're back and that they've got a chance, because I was looking at their schedule going forward for the final 6 games, and I think they've got a legit shot, because certainly Alabama and Tennessee are not going to be easy for them. Okay, those aren't going to be layup games, but the rest of the games, to me, I think Kentucky can handle, and that's what it's going to come down to. I think that's why they've got a shot to win the conference. They've got a shot to get healthy, and they're going to be very dangerous down the stretch. Now, Tennessee's going to have something to say about it, because Tennessee gets them in Thompson Bowling Arena, and Tennessee's already soundly whipped Alabama, but they've got to come to Coleman Coliseum. So, it may end up being that my predictions at the start of the year, I thought Kentucky and Tennessee were the 2 best teams in this league, then maybe they are.
Right.
They may be, but I felt like Alabama and Auburn were in the top 4. I thought Ernest T. Bass was in the top 5, and they have been an abomination.
Yeah, I got something to ask you on that one. I got a question on there. But first, what impressed you the most, though, and what stood out at the Alabama-Texas A&M game on Saturday the most?
Well, it just the offensive efficiency of Alabama. Mark Sears, 23 more points.
By the way, happy birthday to Mark Sears. Today he turns 22.
Happy birthday. Shout out to Muscle Shoals' finest. I think, honestly, when you got the game coming up in early March, Scott, if Alabama can protect the house against Florida, first of all, coming up on Wednesday, which is not going to be an easy game. And then I believe Saturday they're in Rupp Arena, against on a CBS game against Kentucky. But if the conference is still, and I think it will be, up for grabs when they play Tennessee and Dalton Connect and Coleman, I think that's going to be for SEC Player of the Year. I think Mark Sears has got a legit shot at it, no question about it. He was tremendous again in the first half, had 16 of his 23 in half number 1, Scott. I believe he made 4 threes on Saturday. He had his whole bag working. And then the key, though, was that in the second half, Latrell Wrightsell, it still should be Wrightsell, it ends up, with 16 points, all 16 of his points in the second half, which is what really enabled Alabama to score 100 points. Because, again, Sears struggled a little bit in the middle of the game with some turnovers and some missed shots, but Wrightsell really picked things up. Estrada was steady as she goes. He was solid. I want to say he had 11 assists in the game. I'll have to go back and double-check that. But the ball was popping because Alabama had 20 assists, and they didn't get the Nick Pringle we saw against LSU. But as a friend of mine said very aptly, we got a half can of Pringles, not a whole can. So he still played pretty well.
Right.
And then the only concern coming out of the game, and it's just the way A&M plays, though. It's a credit to them more so. But Alabama got murdered on the offensive glass. I mean, this game could have been one of those 40, 50-point beatdowns like we saw last year. Alabama gives some people, but Alabama had trouble rebounding the basketball. I mean, I believe A&M had 26 offensive rebounds. Now, Alabama got some offensive rebounds. They didn't get decimated in that area.
Right.
But overall, they got out-rebounded by about 11. I think it was 49-38. So they got whipped on the glass, but they made shots. And unlike Auburn, see, that was the key for Auburn. Auburn, they just could not put the ball in the basket. I mean,
no.
when
and
you
Bruce
shoot
Pearl even
30%
alluded to it.
as a team,
yeah,
that's just what happens.
Bruce Pearl even alluded to it. He even said that, look, they didn't make tough shots. They didn't make any shots. They didn't make any. And he said a lot of credit was that to Kentucky. Here is Nate Oates after the game against Texas A&M.
I mean, he's, to me, maybe the best team coach of any team sport in modern college sports history, and he's right here. He's, I talked to him shortly after he retired. He told me when he's going to come back to town. I asked him if he wouldn't mind speaking to the team when he came back to town. So this was in the window. We kind of had the week off between games. I thought it'd be good for our guys to hear from, a respected coach like him on what it took to win. He was great at churning out NFL players. He taught. He's great. He said, "I don't know much about basketball, but here's what I can apply from football." I thought he was really good. I mean, he's obviously won a ton of games, and I've tried to learn as much as I can from him. I was fortunate that I was able to spend, 5 football seasons with him here and learned a little bit. Shoot, if he's around here, I'm going to keep picking his brain, see if he can keep talking to our team as the years.
That was Nate Oates, and Nick Saban was in attendance on Saturday, and he had gotten Nick Saban earlier in the week to speak to the Alabama Alabama basketball team. He
had, and in Mark Sears and Latrell Reitzel, and certainly Riley and Griffin talked about that in the post game.
Yeah.
And you just kind of soak it all in with what Coach is telling you. He was telling them, everybody wants to be the beast, but you have to do what it takes to be the beast and to win games. And this is not a perfect Alabama basketball team, but it's one that's starting to get attention because I'll tell you what, when the field of 68 shows up, when you've got Rob Doster and Jeff Goodman on press row, that's big. And then they made a day out of it. It's huge for our state,
right?
Because of the way the schedule fell. You had, first of all, you had Rob Doster and Jeff Goodman in Tuscaloosa. Near the end of the game, when Alabama's polishing it off, they jump in the car and they drive across the state to Alabama, and they go to Neville Arena for Auburn and Kentucky. So it was a big showcase for our state. Game day was also ESPN College Game Day was there in Auburn. Because of their, 15, 16-game winning streak that came to an end, but it was still a great streak. They've got as good a home court advantage as any in college basketball and in the SEC. But credit to Kentucky for their talent because, again, basketball is a team game. It's a tournament game. Sometimes, just like last year, UConn, by the end of the season, was dominant.
Right.
And they ran through everybody and destroyed everybody and won the NCAA tournament. But during the season, they lost like 6 out of 7 in the Big East. They had a rough patch. Well, Kentucky went through a rough patch. But if they figure it out, they have as much talent as anybody in the country because they've got 5 or 6 dudes that could all go in the NBA draft in the first round. I mean, they have a ton of talent. And so they showcased it on Saturday. And that's what I kept saying. I've always said – I thought Auburn would win the game going up into Saturday, but I've always said Kentucky. They're still Kentucky. They can still figure this thing out, and just don't ever write them off.
Right.
I always say that because I was as surprised as anyone that they lost 3 in a row in Rupp. And probably that has allowed the Alabamas of the world, the Auburns, the Tennessees a shot to win this conference. But again, Kentucky is still going to be right there, and so is Tennessee. But Alabama and Auburn still have an opportunity as well. I think the one team this weekend that we figured out is not going to be at the top of the standings, and they're still going to make the NCAA tournament, hopefully, in my opinion.
Right.
But they're not going to be in that top. Probably even 3 or 4 is South Carolina because that loss at home to LSU was devastating.
That was bad. It was bad. All right, here is Bruce Pearl real fast after the loss against Kentucky.
I'm not worried about it, but I think that you know how I felt about this team from the very beginning. I said, this is a good team with a chance to be a very good team. What they've shown is they're actually a very good team with a chance to maybe be a great team. We weren't very good tonight. And so, I kind of going in sort of expected to see this at times against the best teams in our schedule. I still like our team. I do. And we're going to have to, if Jalen's out, we're going to have to figure some things out. But I think we got guys that'll step up.
And what Bruce is alluding to there was great fear that Auburn had lost Jalen Williams for the rest of the year in that Kentucky loss. But Auburn did release a statement yesterday afternoon saying that Jalen Williams is out. But the good news is it's not a season-ending injury. He is just going to be out for an extended period of time.
Yeah, and I was afraid of that. But the great part is he's not going to require surgery. And as I said this morning on another radio show, hopefully they're going to get him back at some point. But he is the key to their team. Right. When he plays well, usually even if their guards are and their guards have been spotty, but even if they're mediocre, then they can still win because he and Jonah are the best 1-2 big man punch in the SEC. But a lot of times, though, the guards feed off the two bigs. If the two bigs are playing well, then the guards play well. But Jalen Williams, before he got injured with a little over 10 minutes to go, Scott, I know they had cut the lead to 5 for Kentucky and made a run, but he gets hurt and he goes out. And before he had even gotten hurt, he was like 1 for 5. Right. He has to play well. If he shoots it well, he's not a volume shooter, but he's a very efficient offensive player. If he does his job and does it and helps them on the glass too with Jonai, they are very, very difficult to stop. And so when he went out, that was just kind of the final blow that Kentucky was going to win this game. And now at least he's not out for the year because, man, he's such a great kid. Yeah. I've been around him for 2 straight years. He's a leader of men. He's a captain. They need him to go on a postseason run. They need him back for the postseason. I'm so glad that there was nothing like, big time structurally wrong, like ACL or something like that. He's going to be back. We'll see how long it takes. But again, Auburn may not win the league now without Jalen Williams, but it also opens the door for what they just talked about. And specifically for our guy, Chaney Johnson, to get a chance to play more and play well. So Chaney's going to get a shot to do this now that we've seen that Jalen Williams go out.
All right, let's get a break in. Our first one of the morning. When we get back, we will get to your phone calls, 256-576-4977. It's Talking Ball live from Bill Penney Toyota on a Monday morning.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
One accident reported this morning in Scottsboro, 279 at Veterans Drive. May have had a minor injury involved. May still be trying to clear it. Everything else is in great shape this morning. I don't see any other snags for you. You be careful if you're one of those who does have to work today. Officers, construction workers, and first responders put their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. Why not make it safer for them? Slow down or move over. It's the law. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Wake up. Breakfast. And Nature Made vitamins. Whatever your morning sounds like, Nature Made fits right in. Whether you're looking for vitamin C or a multivitamin to get key nutrients, we've got you covered. Now that's a good morning. We take care of you so you can take on your day. Start your day with Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist-recommended vitamin and supplement brand. Based on a survey of pharmacists who recommend branded vitamins and supplements.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
At Bryant Bank, we recognize your time is valuable, and easy, secure access to your finances is essential. That's why we provide the financial tools you need to manage your money on the go and make life a bit easier. At Bryant Bank, we're here to help with instant debit cards, Apple Pay, person-to-person payments, and more. Bryant bankers want to show you how beneficial our digital banking services can be. Learn more at bryantbank.com. Bryant Bank. Live legendary. Member FDIC.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. If you've been injured and need a lawyer right now, and pick up the phone to call, you know, one you've seen on a billboard or on TV begging for your business, do you know who you really get?
I'm attorney Jennifer Lackey. You want to talk to your lawyer. You don't want to reach a call center, not in some office 100 miles away. With the Lackey Law Firm, that never happens. My clients talk to me.
And me. I'm attorney Justin Lackey. We're the ones that you talk to. We're the ones that you meet with.
And we're the ones who handle your personal injury case. You want to talk to me? You just call me.
And we'll take care of it. You worry about getting well. We'll take care of the rest.
The Lackey Law Firm.
And I'll go you one better. If you can't come to us, we'll come to you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
And welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond, and we are once again on the road. This time at Bill Penney Toyota on a Monday. Happy President's Day. As we sit here in the service department, their doors are open. They're ready to service your vehicle here at Bill Penney Toyota. One thing we did not mention with Alabama, and we mentioned Auburn entered the weekend with a 17-game home win streak. Now, Alabama, by the way, Alabama has a 15-game win streak inside Coleman Coliseum. They've quietly put that one together. Their longest streak since 1988 inside Coleman Coliseum.
Yeah, you know, I think they're 27-1 their last 28. I mean,
yeah.
They've done quite well at home under Nate Oates, no question about it. And if they're gonna try to win the conference, they've only got now a couple of games left within the SEC at home, and they need to get it done. Really, 3. They've got to get it done against Florida Wednesday, and then Tennessee and Arkansas. So they got 3 games left at home, and then, as I've said, I think they got 3 on the road, and I think they need to get one of them. They're at Ole Miss, at Florida, and at Kentucky. So if they can get one of those 3 and protect the house, that's 14-4. And if they can get a little help from Tennessee with Kentucky, because I think it's going to be very hard to win in Rupp. Okay, very, very difficult. But if they can win either at Ole Miss, or Florida, Ole Miss is probably going to be their best shot. But if they can win one of those and then protect the house and then get that win over Tennessee, then I think that Alabama can win the conference.
All right, let's go out to the phone lines real fast. Phone lines are filling up. Let's go to Jeff from the Borough real fast. Good morning, Jeff.
Morning, Jeff.
How's it going, guys? Well, all Bruce Pearl needs to say is we got our you-know-what's blankety blank at the press conference. He don't need to be explaining all that mess. Okay? And Kentucky fans got mad. Now, I only watched some of the first half. I watched tape of it Sunday night because a friend of mine told me that Pearl went nuts that last 3 minutes. I loved every minute of it. I'll tell you something. If I'd been a referee, I'd have thrown him out of the state. And somebody said this morning, don't throw him out of Auburn Arena. I don't care what arena he's in. I'm tired of him hollering and screaming. I'm sick of it. Okay, like Kentucky fans, there's a Kentucky show on Sunday, and they were calling up complaining because when Williams got hurt, we had a chance to score, and whoop, I got to stop and go check on him. When we get ready to score, no, you don't stop it, no. You let them score, then check on it. You don't do that, no. You don't do that stuff. And it's wire to wire in Auburn Arena. See, wire to wire. It's like Secretariat of the horse racing. So we took care of business. And 2 minutes to go, it was shh. It wasn't no hollering, wasn't it? It wasn't no welcome to the jungle. See, it's Cal's jungle. He's not Bruce the Cheater or regular season Rick. He's a Hall of Famer for a reason. Everybody wants to bash him. Like I said, he can bash him all he wants to. Calipari can, because they all owe him anyway. Every time he loses, whatever he does. And that T-shirt, he needs to take that T-shirt off. Wear something real, will you? Don't wear that T-shirt Saturday night.
I got one question, Jeff. I got
What?
one question. Has John Calipari been under investigation at Massachusetts and at Memphis?
He's not cheated ever in his
Yes,
life.
he has. Both places, you moron. You're the moron of the year. Hang up the phone. Hang up the phone, Bailey. Hang up the phone. Thank you. Go to the next call.
As far as Bruce Pearl wearing that T-shirt, Saturday was their outlive game.
They do that every year, man.
They do it every year.
They're great. There's a lot of money for cancer. I mean, it's awesome.
They have free.
That's an awesome thing they do.
They have free prostate cancer screenings there. They have blood work that you can have done on Saturday. Yes. Bruce Pearl, they designate one game every year for that. That was Saturday's game. Yep. That's why you're wearing that T-shirt.
That's why everybody in the arena is pretty much.
Yes, if you're going to call and say something about the T-shirt, at least know why they were wearing them on Saturday.
That guy is too stupid to know what day it is. So let's go to the next call. Steeler Mike.
Steeler Mike, what's up?
What's going on, guys? Good morning.
Morning.
Hey, Drew, can we get a written transcript of Jeff's call? Is there a possibility of that? I'd like you to listen to it again and break it down.
Well, I mean, I knew he would be very, very cocky coming off the weekend. Hey, should be big win for Kentucky. Let's see if they can keep it going. I mean, credit to them. It was the biggest win of the year in an extremely hostile environment. Great defensive performance, and now they've got a chance to finish strong and win the conference. No question.
Great win. Did he really criticize for wearing a cancer awareness shirt?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, that shows his lack of awareness.
Yes,
that's what we were talking about. He is that stupid.
Unbelievable.
And then he said John Calipari didn't have to vacate wins at Final Four at UMass or at Memphis. Like that never happened. So whatever.
He cheated everywhere he's been.
Yes, he has.
Including Kentucky. Yes, Jeff, he cheats at Kentucky. Because Kentucky, how many times has Kentucky basketball been on probation, Jeff? So many times, more times than I can count. Hey, Chris Mills says hello, Jeff. And you were on the front of Sports Illustrated for cheating. Why do you think Rick Pitino had to clean up a mess? Because you cheated, Jeff.
Hey, Drew, I'm not going to be able to make it over tomorrow. I got to work, but wanted you to break down game number 4 between the Panthers and Grissom. Just see what your thoughts are going into tomorrow. A big one for all of us here at South Huntsville. Hey, guys, thank you so much, and have a blessed day.
All right, I tell you what. Let's get it. 7:28.
We'll get it right from the horse's mouth. Man.
Yes, we will. We're going to get a break in, and when we come back, we will do just that, Steeler Mike, because we got Jack Doss coming on from Grissom High School, head basketball coach. He will give us the Grissom perspective. We will start to delve into match number 4, round number 4, whatever you want to call it. Grissom Huntsville regional finals tomorrow at Jacksonville State. We'll start breaking it down next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. For this President's Day, expect plenty of sunshine. High temperatures going to climb into the mid and upper 50s for the afternoon. Looking ahead into your Monday night, will stay quiet and mostly clear. Low temperatures falling back down into the lower 30s for the overnight. I'm Fox 54 meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Our traffic load may be a little lighter than normal because of President's Day. Traffic building in steadily, though, all across the valley. Got one wreck reported, Scottsboro, 279 in Veterans Drive that should be about ready to clear. Haven't found any other snags to report this morning. D&L Refrigeration repairs heating and air conditioning units for homes and businesses. D&L, 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
March Madness begins in the Rocket City as the Conference USA Men's and Women's Basketball Championships come to the Von Braun Center March 12th through the 16th as 9 teams look to punch their ticket to the NCAA tournament. Lock in your seat for all the tournament action now and get the best seats available to be right on top of the action. And thanks to our friends at Dave & Buster's and Main Event, we have Power Passes available and 4-pack single session tickets available now that include $60 in savings. For more information, visit VonBraunCenter.com or visit the BBC box office.
This is Wes Neighbors sitting here with Philip Love of not only Eagle Insulation, now he represents Eagle Companies. Eagle through the years have added several companies to help individuals or builders through their construction renovation process. Eagle is known to represent quality, efficiency, and professionalism. Philip, I know you do insulation, but do you do masonry?
We do.
Do you do grading, erosion control, and dirt hauled off?
We do.
Do you do after paint, which includes shower doors, mirrors, shelving blinds, and bath hardware?
Yes, we do, Wes.
Do you do landscaping and irrigation?
Yes, we do.
So basically, Eagle can help you all along your process of building your house or doing renovations. So do you do plumbing?
We do not, Wes, but we can find somebody to do it.
Just give them time. They'll be there. Anyway, call Eagle Insulation at
256-755-1556.
Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money. Call Eagle today.
Thanks, Wes.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold-certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Listen weekday afternoons starting at 5 on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
It's perfect!
No, what's perfect is tomorrow. Huntsville and Grissom will play at 2:15 from Jacksonville State.
Hopefully should be a huge crowd there of supporters.
We've already got. I've already texted Tokyo Drift or Lord Moulton or whoever, whatever.
Didn't you guys get there in 45 minutes the last time?
Well, it felt like it. But I am driving tomorrow because he drove on Tuesday, and I will last week. I'll drive this week. But we are going to pregame at the Big Chief. We're going to do it pregame.
I might get you to bring me a grape slushy thing.
Yeah, so that is what the plan is for tomorrow. So that'll lead into. So by the way, tomorrow at 2:15, over the airways, you're going to get Huntsville and Grissom Part 4. Huntsville has won the three previous matchups. It's Monday, and I've had a long weekend, and I'm just butchering this to death. But Huntsville and Grissom, Jacksonville State, the winner moves in to the Final Four. Final Four in the BJCC. And it's been a while for either team to get to the Final Four.
It has, but Grissom has been building to this point. This is year 4 under Coach Jack Doss, who is nearing the all-time wins record in the state of Alabama. He's already holds the record for state championships with 10. He's been the coach of the McDonald's All-American game. We know that. He's been the National Coach of the Year. And so this year with this group of Tigers that really they've developed in his 4 years now, because when these guys were freshmen when he got there, this Grissom team is now 18-13, but all that matters is the next, what you would say 32 minutes, because they're 32 minutes away from Birmingham. It would be yet another trip to the Final Four for Jack Doss. He's preparing his team. They will leave tomorrow for Jacksonville State, or maybe later today. We'll find out, but he's on the Neighbors Wealth Management hotline. Always generous with his time, and we appreciate it as he's making the final preparations for his basketball team to play in the biggest game of the year, because this is the only one that matters. What happened earlier in the season, you're just trying to get to this point if you're Huntsville or the Grissom Tigers, and the head coach of those Tigers, Jack Doss, is with us. Coach, good morning.
Morning, Coach.
Good morning, Drew, man. Good morning, Scott.
How you doing, Coach? I mean, you got to feel good. I mean, I in a way, I wish there wasn't a whole week in between these games, because you get it's almost like you're so anxious to play. But you've been in a lot of these, tons of them in Elite Eights and going to Final Fours. How has the preparation been for your squad, getting a week in between games to prepare for Huntsville for the fourth time?
Well, I love the week's preparation. The game that we played last was important, but it was kind of an experimental game for us. For me, that the game we just played the loser and winner of the other area. So it mattered, but it didn't matter. But we run a zone first half. This is the first time I ever done this in my life. Run a zone first half and then man second half, and just had a week to break it down and see what we need to do. And so it's been a lot of fun.
Coach,
fact,
what do you – okay, keep going. Yeah.
Go ahead, Coach.
Well, the funny thing about it is that I was watching a girls' game and picked up something I thought it would help us against Huntsville. So, it's amazing watching film, how it will motivate you to look at some different things and try them. So that's what we've been doing, experimenting this week. But you can't experiment. I'm looking there at the Huntsville's roster, and they got a 6'7" ninth grader, and we got a 5'8" ninth grader. So, it's kind of status quo here. They're huge and we're small.
Well, Coach, what do you do now? I mean, this is the fourth matchup, and you've mentioned the experimentation. You mentioned all this. I mean, what do you do? I mean, is there such a thing as changing too much on the fourth matchup, or is it? I mean, how do you treat the fourth time that you see a team in a season?
Well, I guess it's kind of like going to the dentist's office. You got about 3 or 4 times there in a row, and so you kind of get used to the pain there. It's not as bad as it was the first time. So it's we're looking forward to the fourth time because we're looking at their tendencies now, and a lot of it is we just weren't ready mentally, and getting to the regional. It's been a big difference in mindset that, we got there. It's been since 2014 since they've been in the finals, and it was 7 years before they'd been to Jacksonville. So, we're over that, and it's got a little different feeling when you get down there. And so we're excited about that we can run some little different stuff, and I feel like our kids are more confident now than they have been. And Huntsville's got a great team. They're huge. I mean, their center 6'10", and ours is 6 foot. So you got to play nearly a perfect game to come out on top, and we're trying to work to that.
Well, and Coach, how did you think your team responded against Chelsea? I thought you started really well. They got back in it in the third quarter, but then when it's gut check time, there's always, as Jack Rutledge used to say, a gut check, and I thought Justin McCall stepped up huge. I think he ended up with 17 in the game. I know Brendan Martin didn't shoot it well, but he scored 12 for you, and he made some huge free throws. And I still think the X factor for your team is Landon Williams. I love his game. I love his athleticism. He's not afraid to take a big shot. He made some in that game. But how did you think your team responded overall with their first? It was that group's first time in that arena and playing in that setting.
Well, it was what we needed. I mean, I don't think it does you a whole lot to go in and beat somebody 20 points when your first time down there. It would help. But our team, you're finding out what kind of fight they got. I mean, we got up 10, they brought it down to 4, and it was because we didn't play well. And then I didn't realize that they got it down to 4 with 3 minutes to go in the game, and then we pulled away. But those type things, strengthen you. When, you get down, you can make that run. And that was the most satisfying thing, and that's what we got to do against Huntsville. I mean, the games are games of runs. And
yes.
And I looked at one film, and we went 11 times against Huntsville and scored 1 time, and those type things can happen. And we're working on to build more consistent on offense. And but the key is keeping it close and give us a chance to win there in the last 3 or 4 minutes of the game. And it'd be a different thing for Huntsville against us if we play them down to the wire, which I feel like we can beat them if we get them down to the wire.
Coach, you mentioned getting there, and it had been a little bit. Did you get a feeling at all in that regional opener that there was a little bit of nerves getting out of the way since Grissom hadn't been there in a little while?
Well, I felt like we played well at the start. I mean, that's what you build off of. And,
right.
But give Chelsea credit. They were pretty good size. They had 4 kids, 6'3" or better, and they hurt us a little bit with their height. But I like the way we executed. I mean, the game was in our control the whole ball game. I mean, they made 2 runs, but then we answered. But we're growing and getting better. I mean, they feel like we can play, and we got some kids that's a lot on the table there on college scholarship wise. And you're right about Landon. Landon's probably the most talented player on the floor per se, but he's just too nice of a kid. We got a lot of nice kids on our team, which that bodes well off the court, but doesn't bode well on the court at times.
Well, and then you've always had good point guard play. I know Alexander didn't have a great scoring game in the last one, but he also didn't shoot very much. He had 4 assists, I believe. He kept the turnovers down, and his ability to handle the pressure of Huntsville tomorrow is going to be a big factor in the game. And I know in the last game against Huntsville, he also scored 16 points, so he's capable of being a scorer for you, Coach.
It's been an interesting year for Javon, trying to teach him how to be a Division I point guard. And AAU has contributed to that when you only got 3 seconds in the lane on defense. I don't know if y'all knew that. And bringing those kids back in, where the lane is open all the time because of rules, AAU, and trying to turn that around for high school, which, coaches do a good job of teaching defense. And but it's been a learning experience for him, and he's really coming on. I mean, he's got to do both, but the main thing I've been working on him is the mental aspect of the game, on how to read and how to get read separation, and get him ready for a D1 scholarship and to help us win a state championship, at the same time. So, we're turning out D1 players left and right, and it's that's the main thing. We just need to put some winning with it. I mean, state championships, and, it's coming along.
Grissom head coach Jack Doss, kind enough to joining us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline ahead of tomorrow's Huntsville-Grissom Part 4 from Jacksonville State, 2:15 tip-off. Coach, I'm curious, and before we delve into the real X's and O's, I'm curious, how has the foul system changed the game of the high school game where there's no more 1-and-1? How is that
5 fouls per quarter? Yeah.
How has that kind of changed the game a little bit, or has it in your mind?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it has. That's a great question. It turned up in the last game with Chelsea, and I look up there and it's 4 fouls to 1 with about 3 minutes to go in the quarter. It's the third quarter, and I called timeout just because of that. I told our kids, I said, with number 1, we can't foul. Number 2, the best way to keep them fouling is if we got the ball. And we kind of held the ball and got through that quarter without them shooting free throws. I thought that was really kind of the turning point of the game. And our players did a really good job, and we didn't put them on the line the last 3 minutes, and most of us because we held the ball. So, I mean, there's different strategies, different things, and that was a great question, and that's how we handled it that last ball game.
Yeah, for those that don't know, there's no more 1-and-1 in high school basketball. Once you get to 5 fouls in the quarter, you automatically shoot 2 free throws.
Well, and Coach, I've been a part of a lot of your postseason runs and watching them, and I know you and Greg Brown had some years where you played at Wallace State, and I believe you played 4 times in a year, so you've been through this before. Now that you've been preparing your team for the last several days, in your mind, what is the key to getting a win over a really good Huntsville team that you've already pushed? I mean, the first game was a very high-level game. It went down to the last 3 or 4 minutes. Huntsville pulled away late. And then it was a really grimy blood and gut game at Grissom, a 56-45 one. And then the last game, I thought Huntsville kind of controlled the backboards. But what's the key to this one?
Well, we hope they're looking forward to Birmingham. You know, they've beaten us, 3 times. And I remember playing Butler when I was at Johnson, and we had to play them 4 times. And it was
did that as well, yeah.
That was to go to the Final Four, and it's a different feeling. We beat them 3 times, and our players were, thinking, well, we've already beaten them 3 times. It's going to be easy, but it's a neutral floor and neutral officials, and anything can happen. I was thinking. I told our team yesterday. We played Athens when they had Richard Hendricks at 6'8", 240 McDonald's All-American, and they were 30-something too. And we beat them, I think, 8-10 for the Huntsville Times Championship, and then beat them at 16 or 18 for the state. Mm-hmm. And we played Butler when I was at Hayes, and they were 34-2. So all these records about the same, and all those been number 1. So that's exciting to me to play those type teams. We've already won. I mean, we beat those 2, and you never know. I mean, you line up and play, and it's a lot of pressure on both teams, and that's what makes it fun. And we're 2-0, and so we're looking for the positive. So we'll see. But it's tough when they're that big. As Huntsville is.
Well, Coach, I want to ask you my final question, because we're honored that you've coached as long as you have, and you've stayed here. You brought up your days at Hayes, but then you came to Butler. What's been the reason that you've stayed? Now, you've had opportunities, as many games as you've won, and, I know you get calls from schools. What has led to you staying here in Huntsville in our community? Now you've coached at Butler. You've coached at Mae Jemison and Johnson High School. Of course, Mae Jemison was, of course, a combination of the merger of Butler and Johnson. And now you're coaching at Grissom. What has been the draw to staying here in the mecca of basketball and coaching in this community for as many years as you have?
Well, the main thing of that is not about me. It's about these young men. And that's one reason I went to Grissom, because it's been Ronnie Staple did a great job down there and developed a lot of players, and then they had a lull. But it's not about me. It's about developing players and making CEOs and making, leaders out of people that they're not sure where they're going. Just like Brendan Martin going to the Air Force. He's going to be a great officer, and he'll be taken care of, and we got a couple more guys that's going to sign. So we'll have 3 people sign this time, and that's what it's all about. And then the main thing. It's really a Christ platform for me, that being able to shine a light as a coach, and that's why I'm in it, because it's His will for my life.
Well, Coach, we appreciate everything you've done.
Too.
Yes, for preaching the word, and I know you recently went back to your hometown of Anniston to do that, and also for what you've done for basketball in our area. It says a lot for our city that we've got 2 teams in the regional finals playing for a spot. We will have someone from Huntsville City Schools in Birmingham in the 7A Final Four in the highest level of high school basketball. It will either be the Grissom Tigers or the Huntsville Crimson Panthers. Congratulations on the season. Good luck tomorrow. Continued preparation and safe travels. But thank you for taking the time this morning, Coach, to talk some hoops with us.
Well, thanks to ESPN, and thanks for the people that's listening and come to the game, because that's what makes it. And just ask a blessing on those families that's listening.
All right. Well, Coach, I look forward to chatting with you tomorrow at halftime in the middle of the game. So this will be fun.
I'll make you laugh.
All right.
Yes, Coach.
Thanks,
Jack
Coach.
Doss, the one and only.
Grissom head. Yep. And once again, we'll have that game for you tomorrow, 2:15. Huntsville Grissom from Jacksonville State. And as Drew said, the winner will advance to the Final Four. We got to get a break in. When we come back, going to wrap up our number one Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Seems to be a pretty easy ride this morning. Enjoy the break while you got it. Traffic lighter than normal because of President's Day, and the only wreck we've had was that one in Scottsboro, 279 at Veterans Drive that should be wrapping up. You could lose up to 4 sizes in 4 weeks with the 2030 Fast Track Weight Loss Program. Find out more at 2030huntsville.com. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
I'm here today with Dr. Tracy Lowry of Veracity Vein Center. Now, how does someone suspect they have vein issues?
The most common symptoms associated with vein issues include leg heaviness, aching, and swelling, with some patients having visible veins as well. Vein issues can be easily diagnosed using ultrasound, with treatments performed as an outpatient using the latest minimally invasive techniques. Diagnosis and treatment is covered by most insurances. Both men and women have vein issues, though men may be more likely to ignore their symptoms when they're playing golf or walking the stadium steps. They too will benefit from correction of their vein problem. Patients can contact our clinics in Huntsville and new clinics in Madison and Coleman at 256-715-7151 or visit us at veracosityveincenter.com.
Veracity Vein Center, Alabama's premier vein center.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked their reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, proudly saying Roll Tide and War Eagle. Stop into University Kia today and shop one of the area's largest selection of new Kias, including Fortes, Seltos, Telluride, and Popular Carnival, and fully electric EV6. View all the great specials at universitykia.com and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia you really want, because we want to see you in a University Kia.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
The heat is on the street, inside your head, on every beat.
I don't want to know what's inside Jeff's head.
I don't either.
It's probably a hamster wheel.
Since we're just coming out of high school basketball, before we get to Richard here real fast, do want to pass on congratulations to the Huntsville High boys wrestling as they dominated the state wrestling tournament over the weekend. Man, they had won the duels in back-to-back years, but the one thing that had been eluding Huntsville High was the traditional team championship. And they set a new state team record with 211.5 points to win the Class 7A state championship, the first ever team state championship in school history. They had a new school record for state placers at 10. They crowned 4 individual state champions over the weekend. They had 6 finalists and they qualified 14, which was a school record for the state tournament. So a dominating performance. And just to show you how dominating, or tell you how dominating it was, Huntsville High had won the championship. Saturday was a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, that's what
they had won it by Friday morning. mid-morning, Huntsville High had already won the 7A title. So everything that they had gotten the rest of the way was cherries on top. So congratulations to them. And we will have them and we will feature them later this week as they will be a Bryant Bank Team of the Week. Why not? I mean, that's a no-brainer. Let's go out to the phone lines. Richard is with us. Good morning, Richard.
Morning, guys. Got a question, an SAT, ACT question for you.
Well, I didn't do very good on this, so.
Why would a kid from Chicago take the test in Detroit? Maybe name Derrick Rose.
Yeah. I knew what he was talking about, yeah.
Derrick
Rose never took the ACT. I think everybody knows that.
When Cal had Worldwide West take one of his cronies there to take the test for him where nobody would recognize him because everybody knew him in Chicago.
Yeah, no doubt. Look, man, there's several of these dudes that you hear stories about, how they must have had somebody take the test for them because some of these fools. I mean, I'll never forget Brent Wright. When he was when the NBDL started, he had 2 cell phones. He had one to call people on and one to get the phone numbers. I mean, I ain't lying. And this guy was Billy Donovan's first big recruit at Florida. So I hate to call somebody out, but I will. I don't care. I'm just saying that some of these dudes ain't geniuses. And what you're talking about, Richard, that's public record with Derrick Rose. I mean, that's one of the big reasons why they had to vacate that near national title against Kansas.
Yeah. So like I said, that like you said, that's public record right there. So
yeah, it is.
Yeah, sorry I missed you Saturday. I ended up having to talk to Jeff Goodman and Rob Doster at halftime.
Oh darn. I talked to him briefly when I got there because I was going to my seat, Richard. It was about 20 minutes before tip-off, 15 minutes, and I went down to the road trying to find my seat, and I just looked up. There's Rob Doster. I'm just like, hey, Rob, enjoy your work, man. Appreciate you being here. And then, of course, Goodman was sitting there too and shook Goodman's hand. I mean, I'd love to have them both on the show. Probably going to be hard to get, but it's great to have them both in there, man. And it was cool to see them make both games too, since both were spaced out enough where they could see both of them, where they could see each one.
Yeah, I went and talked to them at halftime. We talked to at halftime, and they were talking about going down. I knew they were going down to Auburn, so
right.
We talked about how tough it is to play there. So, like I said, nice guys out, and able to talk a little hoops with them. Yeah, I just wanted to bring up Derrick Rose there on, they didn't tie Cal it directly to it, but I mean, when you
he's
see
like
a jump
Philip Fulmer, man. They never tie anything to him. I mean, and Cal's a hell of a coach, man. I'm not saying he's not, but I mean, he's far from clean.
Yeah. So, yeah, good seeing the 2003 through 2004 basketball team there Saturday. It was great. Godfrey came back, so.
Yeah. It was really good to see Chuck Davis, who, he didn't get to end his career the way he wanted. He was having a first-team All-SEC type start to his senior year, but what a really underrated good player he was.
Oh, yeah, I mean, really good at air. I mean, shooting, rebounding. I mean,
yes.
They don't really post up that much anymore, but a great post-up player. And, he can hit the 15-footer. Just a, really great player.
Yeah, he was hitting threes when he tore his ACL because I was unfortunately in the gym when they were able to when they beat Wofford.
Yeah. All right, Richard. Thanks for the phone call,
okay,
but we
are
up.
Later.
Thanks. We are up against the time break. We got to get this hour break in. When we come back, Talking Ball's just beginning. We got another 60 minutes left. Travis Ryer going to join us. We'll recap Alabama's win over Texas A&M and some baseball and softball conversation.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Get insights into the sports betting market with VSiN's betting splits. See where the money is and keep updated on how the market is reacting. Only at VSIN.com. Now, here are the latest lines from my guys in the desert.
College basketball, Alabama back in action on Wednesday night home at Coleman Coliseum when they take on Florida. The Crimson Tide ranked 15th in the latest AP poll. And Alabama also plus 2,000 to win this year's national championship. The Crimson Tide are also plus 430 to make it to this year's Final Four. Auburn will return on Saturday. They'll head to Athens to take on Georgia. The Tigers are ranked 13th and are also plus 2,000 to win the national championship. And they're also plus 430 to make the Final Four. For vsin.com, I'm Tony Desiri, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
There you go. Hour 2, Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone, officially underway. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond coming to you live from Bill Penney Toyota on a Monday morning. What a Monday it has been. Alabama gets that 100-75 win over Texas A&M on Saturday. The 8th time that Alabama has notched the 100 plateau this season. We told you about that, tracking down that Kentucky squad that has got 9 times in the 96 season. They extended its home conference winning streak to 16 games. Now, Alabama does have a 17-game season win streak there, 16 straight SEC games. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, they've got a 16-game. The only home loss this year has been to Clemson, who looks like they're an NCAA tournament team. But Alabama positioning themselves for a run at back-to-back SEC regular season titles under Nate Oates, which would be the 3rd in 5 years. Of course, his name's coming up for Louisville, potentially an opening at Michigan. I don't think he's going anywhere personally.
Yeah.
And I think Alabama, there was a very interesting conversation with Greg Byrne and Ryan Fowler on Friday about fundraising for the new arena. It's definitely still on the front burner. So they're really doing everything they can to ensure keeping Nate Oates for a long time. But we're going to talk about that and more with our next guest. Since 2003, the longtime senior analyst for BamaOnline.com, now part of On3Sports.com, also does a great job with that BOL, BamaOnline.com YouTube channel, and that's Travis Reier. Travis, good morning. How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
We're good. Another great performance from Alabama inside Coleman Coliseum. A little bit of an interesting game because they lost battle on the glass by 11. They got dominated on the offensive glass at times. I mean, they actually held their own. They did a good job on the offensive glass themselves, but they gave up too many to Texas A&M. Yet, unlike Auburn, who they couldn't make a shot, Alabama shot it extremely well. They hit 18 threes, and they win in going away against a tough, gritty A&M team, 100-75, Travis.
Yeah, if Alabama's plus 14 in threes in just about any game, they're going to be able to overcome a lot, right? You're right. The glass you thought could be a big problem for Alabama in that matchup with the Aggies, with Anderson Garcia and Coleman off the bench for A&M. And it was, as you said, they were minus 11 in rebounding. But they did a nice job on Wade Taylor. You know, Tyrese Radford kind of got his with 22 points. But it was going to probably take, given the way Alabama is able to score the basketball against pretty much anyone, it seems, that A&M was going to have to get sort of that collective effort from Taylor and Radford that was similar to what they got against Tennessee a week ago in College Station. I think those two combined for 52 in that win over the Vols. But combined 32 you could live with if you're Nate Oates. And again, you know, just the offensive efficiency of this team is pretty amazing at this point. It did turn it over 12 times, but relative to some previous teams that we've seen, they've done a pretty nice job of that. And I'm sure Nate still, from a defensive end perspective, isn't always satisfied. you wonder about the connectivity of these guys at times on that end of the floor, but offensively they are absolutely connected.
Well, that's the thing, Travis. I mean, this Alabama offense is playing at such a high level, and I know Nate Oates continues to preach defense. But if this team defensively, plays average, and if Alabama continues to score like they are, that's just a hard combination for anyone right now.
Yeah, it's looking more and more like for this team, it could be that it's more about situational stops, at key points in games and, those type of things, because the 40-minute defensive prowess of this squad isn't going to be what we've seen from some of those led by Herb Jones and maybe even a year ago. But you're right, the way they're able to score it, and Mark Sears with the consistency he's giving them, Ryland Griffin with a big game against A&M, Wrightsell with 4 more threes. I mean, when they get 12 threes between Sears, Griffin, and Wrightsell, that's going to be tough for teams to overcome.
It really is, no question about it. And Wrightsell, all 16 of his points in the second half, Travis. 16 in the first half for Mark Sears. Happy birthday to the Muscle Shoals native. He turns 22 today, but he still ends up with 23 in the game. And I said this earlier in the show, but if Alabama, I know they've got 6 tough ones remaining, and then they've got an interesting week. They've got Florida at home on Wednesday, and then they go to Rupp. But if that Tennessee game in Coleman Coliseum in early March, if it still matters in the SEC race, and I think it very much is going to me, that matchup, if Alabama could get a split with Tennessee and have a chance to win the league, Sears is going to have a strong case for SEC Player of the Year.
Well, he absolutely should at this point. I mean, where he kind of has positioned himself as you head down these final 6 games of the regular season is really in the conversation for, in my opinion, first-team All-American as well. But
wow,
he's just been consistently great. And, I thought a year ago he kind of ran into the wall a little bit down the stretch. He may have had some health issues that contributed to that, but it seemed like a year ago at this time he was playing more for the whistles rather than the finishes. And he has shown great strength, and as much as anything. I mean, you love his ability to get it done from the perimeter with the step-back threes and the three-point shooting in general. But in terms of physical strength and sort of this embracing of the contact in the paint, he's learned to really finish through that. And if you get the whistle, great, but he's just been tremendous, no doubt about it. I think Griffin coming along like you anticipated he might has been huge. Estrada has improved with a 7-assist performance against A&M. And again, they didn't really light it up from the free throw line, but they didn't really need to against A&M because 18 threes and then 10 of those in the second half. And just the ability for this team to go on multiple runs in the course of the game. I mean, we've seen some Alabama teams that you got one run out of them. That was pretty encouraging. But this team kind of reminds me of some of the old Carolina and even Duke teams from the past, where multiple times in a game you just knew the big runs were coming. And A&M got it down inside double digits there in the second half on Saturday, and you're thinking, well, this could end up being a tight one with about 4 minutes to go, but then Alabama just hits the Aggies with another one of those runs, and it's pretty much over.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Travis. I mean, it was the way Alabama, if you hit 15 threes, I mean, that's 45 points. You hit a couple, 10 or 12 points inside the arc, that's 55, 60 points right there. I mean, that's the combination, I think, and you get to the free throw line. I mean, the formula that Nate Oates has put out there offensively, I mean, you can see it. You can kind of see it. Does this season come to you as a surprise, though, at all, about what Alabama's accomplishing, the fact that they could yet win another regular season title?
Yeah, it probably shouldn't at this point because we've seen Nate do it with multiple teams.
Yeah.
And really, even with the non-con struggles that they had against really good competition, it's not like they were getting hammered. They weren't losing double-digit games in those contests. So even in the losses in December, there was reason to be encouraged. You kind of felt like even back then that this team would go as far as their offensive ceiling would take them. I think that's still pretty much the case. But at this point, we shouldn't be surprised by anything Nate does, I guess. But relative to the record, I guess there's some folks that are maybe a little bit surprised. But this team had shown some signs, I thought, even in those difficult losses.
Yeah, and Grant Nelson in 23 minutes, he has 9 points, and and I thought played a pretty good defensive game. He settled in, and then he didn't get the start, but he gave him 21 minutes, and it wasn't an LSU effort. But I still thought, with the time he was on the floor, that Nick Pringle was a factor. He only scored 3 points, but I thought, I basically made the analogy that you got a can of Pringles against LSU, and he played really well. I thought you got maybe a half can in this last game, but I think he's the X factor going forward because we didn't see a ton of Muhammad Wagi. We did see Mo Diabate play and Stevenson, but if they can get some, just some rim protection and some good minutes out of Pringle, even 20 per game would be huge.
Yeah, 20 would be tremendous to get from him. And hey, you're still getting some good energy from Diabate off the bench. He gives you 6 rebounds in just 10 minutes. So that's a positive, performance for the most part. And they kind of are who they are in those spots. So as much as anything you need for those guys, you need their fouls. But you need them to use them wisely. Not 20 feet from the basket, hedging on a screen or something like that. If you're going to pick up fouls, do it trading paint with bigs in the paint. And so, that's essentially, I think, what Nate's hoping to get from those guys, and at least make it difficult for opposing players when they do come into the paint, and then also rebound as best you can, and then ride this offense.
And Travis, it's College Game Day was in Auburn over the weekend, and if you look at Alabama's schedule, I know there's a couple hurdles left, but it's not unthinkable to think that College Game Day could be in Tuscaloosa for Alabama and Tennessee, which would be the first time ever for them to be there for basketball.
Yeah, that would be pretty tremendous, no doubt about it. Just a situation in general where you have that for Alabama basketball, and perhaps that's something that we see at some point down the stretch. But you're right; you guys are both right. They've got a lot to tend to first, and that trip to Kentucky. You talk about the Auburn Kentucky game; it got a lot more spicy after this past Saturday night down at Neville Arena. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But I'm going to tell you, you cannot look past Florida on Wednesday night. Florida's playing as well as anybody in the league, and then you got to go back to Gainesville too. So these final 6 games, between the road trips to Gainesville, Kentucky, even to Oxford to take on a Chris Beard team that is not going to make it easy on you. It's kind of wild to look at it right now from 10,000 feet with these games remaining and think, well, you catch a break in the regular season finale against Arkansas, because no one really – you talk about things no one saw coming in the preseason.
Right.
Arkansas with the struggles it's had.
Yeah, they have not at all. And then, but speaking of, I know, Travis, we're going to be monitoring closely. I would think this week we would hear something, and probably in the first part of the week, and I know it'll be still part of the conversation on your YouTube channel on BamaOnline.com, but still a couple of coaches to be hired by Kalen DeBoer on the offensive line and tight end. Nothing of substance coming out of the weekend that I've heard. What is the latest, and might we hear something in the very near future?
Yeah, I would anticipate that being the case. I think they were able to get a little bit of downtime after the late signing period. That's pretty much been what we've seen from staffs, how that's developed now. And I think that was always kind of the case, but even more so now it's important because there really aren't many stops during the calendar year anymore at the college level. So I would expect that to pick up. They're also in the market for a Michigan transfer in Keon Sabb. So, that's a good point. Situation that bears monitoring, I think, here in the next little bit, see what he ends up choosing to do. And that's, you talk about the college football 2024, the potential for a guy Alabama played against a month ago in the Rose Bowl and also played against Alabama's new head coach in the national championship game could be a part of the Alabama secondary for Kalen DeBoer, the former Washington head coach, in the upcoming season. We'll see, though.
Wow. Yeah, say that 3 times fast. Well, Travis, and then
I'm busy.
Yeah. Well, but I'm speaking of, though, we got to see the beginning of the Rob Vaughn era on the diamond for baseball. Alabama handling it 3-0 to none. 4-0 shutout on the opening day on Friday afternoon. Saturday in the very chilly temperatures, 15-0 in 7 innings. And then got a little hairy, but Dalton Davis II closed it down the last 2 innings, and they went 11-8 on Sunday. Your impressions of Rob Vaughn and his start?
Yeah, I mean, exactly what you would want, against the kind of opponent that came to Tuscaloosa and Manhattan. But still, it is college baseball, so you get to those Sunday games or those Game 3 situations for a weekend, and they can get a little dicey. They can get a little hairy. But it is nice to have a guy like Davis that's able to close things out for you. And, they have the potential, as we know, to be very, very good. And it was good to see him also, get the long ball going yesterday.
Yeah, five yesterday.
In that Game 3 win with 5 home runs. So they've gone the first couple of games without one and then seemed to find it there in Game 3. So it's definitely going to get tougher from here, but a good start, no doubt.
Yep.
And softball doing softball things.
Yeah, it's a great start for Murph, especially with all the changes that program's undergoing right now. And it starts, as we know, right there in the circle. So Kayla Beaver doing her thing as a transfer coming in and being that number 1 that they need. Very impressive start. Now, again, similar to baseball, the pool's going to get a little bit deeper here coming up. I mean, you start talking about some of the midweek games that Alabama's got, down the road a little bit with, I think, Florida State and Tallahassee and, some of these other games. Arizona's going to be in Tuscaloosa here soon. Then you get into SEC play with Florida. Georgia looked good over the weekend down in Clearwater. So we know what's on the horizon, but I think for this team, this was the type of scheduling that made a lot of sense. And it's a confidence building stretch and a team that showing you too can win some close games early on.
Yeah. 10-0 start for softball.
Yeah, absolutely. So they got to the start they needed. Confidence is key, especially with a lot of new pieces and new places for Alabama, and even someone like Bailey Dowling trying to settle in at third base, a new position for her, and a new first base coach, pretty good player in her day, Kayla Bro. It's just kind of weird with Allie Habits just retired now and not in that first base coach's box, Travis.
Yeah, Allie's just great in every way possible, but Kayla over there, you just kind of wish you could have her pinch run since she's already over there.
Yeah, there you go.
First base, just let her go ahead and jump on the bag and go.
Yep.
Well, speaking of going, I know you guys are going to have a lot to talk about on the BamaOnline.com YouTube channel, I'm sure later this morning. Let everybody know how to connect with you guys over at BamaOnline.com.
Yeah, plenty of stuff at BamaOnline.com right now. We'll have the YouTube channel up and running this week once again. So if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, I certainly hope you'll give that strong consideration. Turn on those notifications. You'll get the video content as it drops from BOL staff right there at YouTube. And the Roundtable, our premium message board at BamaOnline.com. It's a great place to hang out with all of us, of course, right there on the On3 network.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Travis.
Thanks, guys.
All right, we got to get a break in. When we come back on a college basketball conversation, I got a question for you in regards to Arkansas and the rest of college basketball. Interesting when we come back.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Seems to be a pretty easy ride this morning. Enjoy the break while you got it. Traffic lighter than normal because of President's Day, and the only wreck we've had was that one in Scottsboro, 279 at Veterans Drive that should be wrapping up. You could lose up to 4 sizes in 4 weeks with the 2030 Fast Track Weight Loss Program. Find out more at 2030huntsville.com. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time, or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
The best place to get 50s diner-style homemade delectables is Bubby's Diner. Located at 8412 Whitesburg Drive Southeast, try their all-new expanded breakfast menu with homemade waffles, omelets, and shrimp and grits. With 3 generations of experience, Chris Bubby Belcher has the best burgers in town. Don't forget to leave without a homemade pie or a hand-spun milkshake. Give Bubby's a call today at 256-513-8080. Bubby's Diner, home of the donut burger.
Cheeseburger Bobby's has a great new way to feed the family with 2 $30 family packs. The first is the Tenders Family Meal, 20 delicious chicken tenders, fries, and a gallon of tea. The second is 4 cheeseburgers, fries, and a gallon of tea. Your choice, just $30 each. These specials are good for carryout and online orders only. Log on to cheeseburgerbobbies.com to order. And don't forget frozen custard for dessert. Cheeseburger Bobby's, 2785 Carl T. Jones Drive, Huntsville, and at cheeseburgerbobbies.com.
Isn't the story of the prodigal son an amazing story? Basically, a rowdy boy who literally wished his father dead ran away and consumed his wealth with hard and fast living. Yet the father looked for his return every day, and when the boy got tired of eating pig slop, he decided to return. What did the father do? As soon as he saw that boy, he ran to him, threw his arms around him, and killed the fatted calf for a great celebration. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of the Cross Point Church. If you're looking for a church home, come see us, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison.
I'm on vacation every single day because I love my occupation. Hey, I'm on vacation. If you don't like your life, then you should go and change it. Hey, I'm on vacation.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. No, we are not on vacation. No. We are rocking and rolling. And I have a question for you, though, because I got to thinking about this.
Yeah.
And Eric Musselman and the Arkansas Razorbacks, they're struggling this year. And
darn.
Yeah. But Eric Musselman, there's 3 ways now. In college football, we still don't know the answer to yet, okay? The verdict is still out. It's still too early to decide this. And it still may be too early to decide it in college basketball. But there's 3 ways now you can build your roster. You can build it by going out and just getting all high school kids and living and dying by the recruiting age. You can do it where you recruit high school kids, but you mix it in with transfer portal guys, or you just go out and load up with transfer portal guys. Eric Musselman has decided to go via almost the transfer portal exclusive route. I mean, basically living and dying and redoing a roster going by transfer portal guys. It's not worked for Arkansas this year. It worked for him to a point last year.
Yeah.
But it hasn't worked for him this year. Is that Are we sitting there now saying, hey, look, okay, Nate Oates has had success. Nate Oates has had success. Bruce Pearl's had success. They go out and they recruit guys, but then they build it with and they mix and match with some transfer portal guys. Rick Barnes has done the same thing. Mix and match, go out and get some portal guys, but he recruits guys as well. Calipari, he recruits, and then now he's in that portal. Are we finding in college basketball that the verdict now is the best way to build a roster is the mixed version, not what Eric Musselman is doing at Arkansas?
It's got to be the mixed if you want to win consistently, because eventually if you're doing what Ernest T. Bass is doing, it blows up in your face.
Right.
Because you don't have the chemistry needed, and it just won't work. And then I still say the most talent that you can get is through the high school ranks. Now you can become an old team quick with the transfer portal, but still chemistry is, can be a little tricky. But I still think the way John Calipari does it, where he recruits elite players, where Mark Few does it,
right?
And for the most part, they develop their talent. I still think developing your own talent is the key.
Yeah, Mark Few at Gonzaga, he basically goes through the high school ranks and occasionally will bring in a transfer portal guy. His is on the exclusive.
They've had, the Andrew Nimhards and all that kind of stuff, and they've had the transfer guys.
Right.
But Drew Timme was developed there very well. They've done, Adam Morrison. They've developed a lot of great players, and so I still think your player development is what helps you the most. Noah Clowney in 1 year and Brandon Miller. I know he's a freakazoid, but they really got a lot better under Nate Oates. You look at Mark Sears in year 2 and what he's doing in that system. You heard Travis Reier bring up Ryland Griffin. I look at Auburn, Jonai Broom. He's a lot better in the second year with what Coach Pearl's doing. And then next year, how much better will Chaney Johnson be with Jalen Williams moving along? I thought Denver Jones played well the other day. I thought he was one of the few bright spots against Kentucky. How much better will he get? So I still think the big key is the backbone of your program is developing and keeping your own players, and then maybe supplementing the Latrell Wrightsels and the Aaron Estradas if you're the University of Alabama.
Is the verdict still out on the football side on how to do things? Is it?
You've got to do it through high school and build the program that way. You can't build a program consistently in the transfer portal because, first of all, half these kids in the transfer portal are turds, and that's the reason they're in the transfer portal, or they've got a crazy inner circle, and it'll hurt your chemistry. I think this could be what's going on with Arkansas basketball. And so you've got to build it from within and have a strong culture, and then bring in your type of kid out of the portal that would fit and play well. I just don't think you can't build a team. Look at what happened to Coach Prime. You know what I'm saying? Because he made all the headlines, and there were idiots giving him Coach of the Year, and they went 4-8. Now that's a 3-game improvement. They were 1-11, but you don't give Coach of the Year awards to a 4-8 football team.
Well, Sports Illustrated gives him.
Now let me ask you a question about Sports Illustrated. This is a yes or no question. Did they basically fire everybody and go under?
Yes.
That's what I thought. Because they were what?
You're going to make me say it. They were woke.
Exactly.
Anyway.
What's the old saying, Scott?
Yes,
get
I know.
Woke, go broke.
Well.
And they broke.
You know who's not broke? Steve Sarkisian.
No.
Steve Sarkisian is not broke, okay? Steve Sarkisian, over the weekend, Texas made it known that they are going to pay the ante. They are anteing up big time. They are pushing everything into the middle with Steve Sarkisian.
Hell, their backup quarterback makes more than the starter.
So Steve Sarkisian is going to get a measly $5.6 million this year, okay?
Right, measly,
no, my bad. He's going to get 5.8. He was set to make 5.6.
Right.
Now, in 2024, that is going to jump to $10.3 million with a $100,000 annual raise in each year of the deal. That's going to run through 2030. His new contract guarantees him $74.2 million over the remaining 7 years of his contract. He also gets cars and a country club membership and all that other stuff. But Steve Sarkisian is over $10 million a season.
That's like
as a head
we're going
coach.
to start calling that a dirt neck. That's what that is. That's a dirt neck. Let's just hope it works out better for Texas than it did for Texas A&M.
I mean, he did get them into He got them into the playoffs.
And they won the Big 12 in the last year. Now they're coming to big boy ball.
Yeah. I mean, did Texas overpay for that?
Well, we'll see. We'll find out. If they get back to the playoff consistently and win a national championship, then no. But if they don't and they fall short and then they end up having to pay him to go away like they did Dirt Neck over at A&M, then yeah. So we'll see. Because, I mean, heck, man, A&M's to the point where they had to pay Dirt Neck's old defensive coordinator to come back and be head coach.
I mean, how much of this, though, do you think was the reaction to Alabama possibly wanting Steve Sarkisian?
Well, I mean, when you have a coach that's done what Sark has done in 3 years, and that's get Texas, back to the playoff and win the Big 12. I mean,
are they relevant again, Texas?
I think so. I mean, they certainly were relevant this year. They earned their way into the playoff. He's done a good job with Quinn Ewers. He's got Arch Manning waiting in the wings. He gave Duke a starting quarterback, for crying out loud.
Right.
I mean, Malik Murphy. So, I mean, he's done a really nice job. He's lost some coaches. Bo Davis left the program, and he's had to make some changes with his staff, but that happens when you're successful. But I think he's done a really nice job so far. I mean, I would say that he's probably surpassed expectations, probably not in Texas's eyes, but I mean, I wasn't sure he'd get him to the playoff this quick, but he certainly did, and now they've got a chance to be a perennial contender with the way they're recruiting.
All right, we got to get a break in. And the reason why we stay with Texas, and I bring up Texas right before the break, is Mike Griffith was on the Paul Feinbaum show on Friday. I know. Mike Griffith was on the Paul Feinbaum show on Friday. And
Did you say attention whore?
Yes.
Okay.
I said Mike Griffith.
Who?
He was on the show on Friday.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you probably have heard his comments. And when we come back, we will play his comments on what he says was what is the feeling around Athens, Georgia, in regards to Georgia, Texas, and Alabama.
I know what the feel is. They're 2-9.
We will let Mike Griffith tell you what the climate is like in Athens coming up next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. For this President's Day, expect plenty of sunshine. High temperatures going to climb into the mid and upper 50s for the afternoon. Looking ahead into your Monday night, will stay quiet and mostly clear. Low temperatures falling back down into the lower 30s for the overnight. I'm Fox 54 meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a couple of wrecks now on Greenbrier Parkway, one in the 6200 block. That's just north of 565. It's reported with injury. And we got one Old Highway 20 in Greenbrier Parkway that's reported as an injury type. And we're working one on Sparkman near Executive. That one reported with injuries. You get 2 pieces of the hand-breaded Juicy Tender Signature Chicken and a buttermilk biscuit for $4.99 at Popeyes. University in Jordan, 72 in Jeff and North Parkway. Captain Nick in the Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Wake up. Breakfast. And Nature Made vitamins. Whatever your morning sounds like, Nature Made fits right in. Whether you're looking for vitamin C or a multivitamin to get key nutrients, we've got you covered. Now that's a good morning. We take care of you so you can take on your day. Start your day with Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist-recommended vitamin and supplement brand. Based on a survey of pharmacists who recommend branded vitamins and supplements.
This is Wes Neighbors sitting here with Philip Love of not only Eagle Insulation, now he represents Eagle Companies. Eagle through the years have added several companies to help individuals or builders through their construction renovation process. Eagle is known to represent quality, efficiency, and professionalism. Philip, I know you do insulation, but do you do masonry?
We do.
Do you do grading, erosion control, and dirt hauled off?
We do.
Do you do after paint, which includes shower doors, mirrors, shelving blinds, and bath hardware?
Yes, we do, Wes.
Do you do landscaping and irrigation?
Yes, we do.
So basically, Eagle can help you all along your process of building your house or doing renovations. So do you do plumbing?
We do not, Wes, but we can find somebody to do it.
Just give them time. They'll be there. Anyway, call Eagle Insulation at
256-755-1556.
Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money. Call Eagle today.
Thanks, Wes.
Great food and the best live entertainment is what it's all about at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. Head to downtown Huntsville every Tuesday for karaoke on the only outdoor karaoke stage in North Alabama. Thursday night is the Valley's longest running and biggest bike night. Food and drink specials, giveaways, and live music on the patio. And the Furniture Factory menu is fully loaded with options from steaks to salads, plus a whole lot more. Featuring a weekday happy hour that starts at 3. 619 Meridian Street, downtown Huntsville, and online at FurnitureFactoryBarGrill.com.
College football.
The ball is caught. It is a touchdown.
Major League Baseball.
That ball is gone. A home run.
This is your place for complete sports coverage all year long. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone, and I want you to hear this. I know you are not a fan of Mike Griffith, but this is interesting. And I know. I want you to hear what he had to say about Alabama, Georgia, and Texas.
And Georgia doesn't think too much. Kirby doesn't think too much about Alabama. Georgia fans really, the October 19th game at Texas is the big headache. There's an F1 race that weekend. Georgia fans having a hard time getting tickets for that game. They're looking at that as probably the game that's going to decide the SEC in Texas next year. And to me, that's what I've heard more about is the game in Austin,
Griff,
Texas.
Do I need to remind you that before that game in Austin, the Dogs have a game in Tuscaloosa on September 28th?
Oh, I'm very well aware. Listen, I'm with you. I think that's a game that should be a focal point. But, what you're asking me what I'm hearing, and okay. I'm hearing a lot about Texas and the threat that Texas and Steve Sarkisian. I mean, that's a staff that's been in place. That's a team that beat Alabama by 10 points in Tuscaloosa last year. That's an impressive program that Steve Sarkisian's built, and they're a real threat to the SEC with their budget. So, to me, I think that's the big threat right now. People talk about Texas and Georgia at the top of the SEC, and then you get into the second tiers, the Alabamas, the Tennessees, the LSUs, Ole Misses, and Missouris.
He put Alabama as a second tier.
He is the runaway leader for moron of the year. If he actually believes that, he can't spell football, and he spells it with one O, okay? Or he spells it with an U because he thinks he's over in Europe because he's taking too many, shots of tequila or whatever. I mean, look, man, I understand Nick Saban retired, and a lot of Georgia fans have PTSD from getting their ass whipped all the time, and they did, constantly. They're 1-5. And the one they won was pure, unadulterated luck. Let me say it one more time for you idiot Georgia fans out there. Unadulterated injury luck is the only reason you won one game, okay? Or you'd be 1-10. In the last 11 against Alabama under Mark Richt and Kirby Freeze. I mean, smart. Okay? So I'm sorry. But Alabama is the boogeyman for Georgia. That's what they need to focus on. Just like, Philip Fulmer used to try to say, well, Florida's the boogeyman for us. We don't worry about Alabama. Guess who ran his ass out of Knoxville? Alabama. So, I mean, again, the boogeyman is Alabama still until Georgia can beat them. And we'll see. Maybe they can handle Kalen DeBoer. Kalen DeBoer hasn't coached a game yet. But Kalen DeBoer likes to throw the ball around. Kalen DeBoer likes to stretch defenses vertically. Guess what Kirby Smart's had a hard time stopping? The butthole's puckered a little bit when Alabama could throw the football well. So again, Griffith can talk about what he wants, and he can talk about Texas. Texas ain't back. They've won one national championships in the modern era, and that was 2009. Okay, and if they played that USC team 10 times, they lost 8 of them. But they only had to play them once. So, again, Alabama's not going anywhere. And, Mike Griffith's Mike Griffith. But, again, like I said, he's an attention whore, and that's what you get when you say stupid things like that on the radio just to get clicks because you're an irrelevant piece of trash.
Let's go to Brandon real fast. Phone lines are lighting up now. Good morning, Brandon.
Good morning.
Morning.
It feels good to be back in the land of the living.
Well, I was hoping you felt better. That's good. You sound better.
I sound better, feel better, and I hear that there is a new state championship trophy in Huntsville.
Yeah, wrestling. It was well done by Patrick Harris and all those guys. I mean, Scott was giving me updates. I mean, like he said, by Friday at some point it was already over.
Yeah, Friday afternoon it was already decided.
Because I texted him, and then when I didn't hear back, I figured it was still over. I said, Scott, are they basically? Is this over? Have they've already sealed it up? Because he was telling me 6 guys were in the finals. I was like, this should just be a lock.
Yeah.
Well, and if you take a look at Saturday. Who had Walters having more points than Grant Nelson in that game?
Oh, I mean, I asked Nate Oates about Sam Walters. I thought he was a real key. He came in there, and I loved his mentality. Now, he's never been afraid to shoot, okay? But the thing that kind of changed was he attacked the rim and had success. If he can start, and they went to him early. So Nate had kind of said, we had some guys have their best, week of practice. Because remember, Alabama was off the whole week, and I kind of figured Sam must have been practicing well because they went to him early. And Scott, he got 11 points. He was in rhythm, and he gave him some really good minutes. And he was the leading rebounder. He had 8 rebounds, so he did a good job. He's one of the guys that did rebound the ball well.
Well, and if you take a look at that game, Alabama's bench gave 24 points and a 100-point win.
Yeah,
that's a pretty solid number from those guys. Which, if you can get 24, 25 points off of your bench guys, and then you're getting the kind of production you're getting from your starters, that's always going to lead to some good play. But I was really shocked that he put those kind of numbers up and had those kind of rebounds in that game against A&M. The way A&M out-rebounded us in that game, because they were on the spot. If we would have got even a better split of the rebounds, I could have seen us scoring 110, 112 at the pace at which we were playing.
Yeah, no doubt. I think they could have won. They could have won the game by 40-plus points if they had rebounded the ball a little bit better, Brandon.
Right. Well, I saw Nate Oates giving them a hard time about 4 minutes into the game, and the announcers were saying that he was telling them, you are not running the offense fast enough. This has been a problem. And then all of a sudden you really started to see them move, and they're taking shots, 7-8 seconds into the possession instead of going, 20 seconds into the possession. And I think that really made a difference in how they played the ball game going forward. I mean, maybe they scored 100 for Nick. We'll never know. But I'd love to have been there. And I may be there tomorrow. I may show up for that game tomorrow. I had to move a lot of appointments around from being sick last week, so I'll be at Gaston tomorrow. I may just ease on down there where y'all are.
Well, you better, he's on down to the Big Chief. That's where Scott and Steve are going to be.
Glencoe. We're going to be in Glencoe, which is on the other side of Jacksonville.
I may get him to bring me up. This grape.
It's a grape Mr. Freeze. For those that go to the dairy, basically, it's ice cream with a grape slush.
There you go.
Basically,
it's all it is. I have a name for it.
Yes.
It's not a Mike Griffith.
Lunch tomorrow?
I don't know what time it is. I got to figure out what time we'll leave. We'll probably leave maybe a little after 10, which would get us there probably by 11:30, 11:45, I would say. Maybe by 11:30, have lunch, and then jet on in and get set up for the 2:15 game.
And, Brandon, I will be with Huntsville High. We are leaving at noon today after practice. So I will be on the bus with them, be at the hotel, but I will definitely be hooking up with Scott and Steve. Are going to bring everybody the call of this game, this outstanding Chapter 4.
It's going to be fun.
Yep.
Hey, and Jeff gets a crystal ball for today. I'm just going to say.
Crystal ball.
I mean, Mario Cristobal when you get a dummy award.
Yeah, he gets a dummy one.
Yeah. He ought to be cut off for the rest of the week.
Yeah. Well, I know. All right, we got to get thanks, Brandon. Thanks for the phone call, but I want to get to Shane Sean as well. Good morning, Shane Sean.
Hey, I know that's not the only part of that interview that you heard from him, is it?
With Griffith, I really only saw some quotes. I didn't want to listen to the drivel.
Well, I very rarely listen to Feinbaum, but I mean, I was driving down the road and there was nothing on the radio, so I was listening to it, and I heard this. He said Kalen DeBoer is a 2-year and out coach at Alabama. He's going to suck, and then Nick Saban's he's taking it on good authority, and heard that Nick Saban will be back in 2 years and take back over the program.
Well, that should show you right there that he had a lobotomy done.
I can't stand listening to that dude. I've never heard him say one thing that made any sense.
Well, he just panders to his audience well, and and pandering is part of another profession that he probably may have partaken in.
He said
that I can't mention on this show.
He said all the stuff that Nick Saban said over the past few months is that he'll be back in 2 years and take back over the program, that DeBoer is just going to be a stepping stone.
Well, I wonder if Griffith will be employed in 2 years.
I don't see how he's employed now. As many
Sports Illustrated might hire him.
I just didn't know if y'all heard the whole interview or not, because I'm telling you, you listen to that, and it'll make your ears bleed.
Well, you just answered the question for everybody there, Sean. Unless you're a Georgia fan wanting to listen to that tick turd, and that's another former Buford T ism there. But yeah, I'm not going to.
With a few Georgia fans, and they literally cannot stand to listen to him, and he covers Georgia.
Wow. So even some of the dog fans can't stand Mike the Turd.
That's funny.
I don't see how he has a job.
I don't either. He won't ever be on this show again. I can guarantee you that.
Well, we can't afford him.
I hope not.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Because we can't have the ears bleeding of our listeners. We're not sending people to the hospital.
Let's get one more phone call.
You did enough
in.
of that with your Valentine's commercial. Or nearly, anyway.
Yeah. Let's get to Mark from Spring Hill. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning.
Morning, guys. Where are y'all at? Lexus dealership or where?
We're at we're at Bill Penny Toyota. We're out here in the service department. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's a great place. I've purchased a few vehicles there, and my wife actually bought I think it's called a 1794 or 96 Toyota truck, one of those big ones there. So they got a good place there. I couldn't quite tell where y'all were, but anyway, just wanted to ask you guys a question. I saw Mark Ingram, got a chance to first time ever talk with him, and we brought up Isaiah Bond, and I wanted to ask y'all's opinion on this. He talked about the brotherhood in Alabama and how it's just so important for someone like these guys like Ingram and others that can come back anytime they want to, and they walk the sidelines, etc. And I was going to get y'all's opinion on, you get a guy like Bond who made that big play against Auburn, and was set for life to be an Alabama, Ingram type player, and now, is just would not have that green light to come on the sideline. That's not talked about a lot. That when you leave Alabama, you leave a program that's NIL. It's much bigger than what we've even talked about. That you've left a university that and you're not really welcome back in sort of a way that you could have been. And I didn't know if y'all wanted to talk about that loss.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's with anyone. I mean, you look at anybody that goes into the transfer portal at any school. Rarely are you going to be, welcome back. I mean, you'll be welcome back, but not in a way that, not the hero's welcome type of thing. I would imagine, right?
No, you're not.
That's with anybody.
Look, man, as soon as you. I wouldn't give him a SEC championship ring. I don't care if he did the grave digger, if he made a big catch on fourth down. If you leave before the rings are ever done, I wouldn't give you one. You turn your back on your teammates and you bailed, because all you're going to do if you're giving the ring anyway is sell it on eBay to try to make yourself some more NIL money. So I'm not giving it to him. I mean, the dude bailed out, didn't even take a phone call from the other coach. There's collateral damage to things you do, and so. Bond, to me, would be done. So would Amari Niblack. You have a choice. You took an NIL payout and went to Texas, and good luck to you. We'll see how you do over there. We'll see if you can win a championship. I'll give another example. I mean, there's two Alabama basketball players that left, and one did a ton for the university, and Javon Quinterly, who helped them win two SEC championships and two regular season and two tournaments. But he went to Memphis his last year. They're probably not even going to make the
No, they lost yesterday. 6 time in 7 games. Memphis lost.
They're terrible. Yeah. And Amari Burnett, he left to go to Michigan. But if neither one of them,
by the way, Michigan is awful this year.
They're terrible. I mean, and if neither one of them got a ring, you can't complain because they left the program and left abruptly. And to me, that should be some of the consequences for your actions for leaving. You did, but it's not like you didn't get anything out of it. They both got big NIL payouts, I'm sure, and they're both playing prominent roles.
So we don't treat this like free agency, where if you come back in free agency, you get a ring. We don't treat this like the professional free agency.
No, this is not
college.
professional. You don't have a contract.
Right.
So if you leave your team in the lurch, luckily Alabama was able to manage, then you're done. Now, both of them have the most important thing from Alabama, and that's a degree. Both of them got their degrees, so they had the right to leave. But again, if you end up not getting a championship ring, boo-hoo. Because, I mean, again, you ended up deciding to go to greener pastures that weren't greener, because a lot of times the grass is not always greener on the other side. There should be something you forfeit. I'm sorry.
A repercussion of something.
Especially if there's not a signed contract. So you can just up and leave.
All right, it's 8:49. We got to get that final break in. When we come back, we'll give you your tomorrow's headlines today as we get ready to wrap up our Monday edition of Talking Ball live on 97.7 ESPN The Zone, live from Bill Penney Toyota Service Department.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
They have canceled HIMSI on that wreck at Old 20 in Greenbrier Parkway. I show a HIMSI unit on scene in the 6200 block of Greenbrier Parkway. That one's just north of 565. That one reported with an injury. I've got one showing Wall, Triana, and Capshaw that reports as an injury type as well. And we've got Old 6 Mile and Cutoff Road. That's in Morgan County. That one's a no injury, but it may have some blockage. No hose, no mask. You could ask Dr. Sandman, that's Dr. Sandlin, for the medically proven benefits of the Somnodent for sleep apnea and for snoring. Dr. Randall Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
March Madness begins in the Rocket City as the Conference USA Men's and Women's Basketball Championships come to the Von Braun Center March 12th through the 16th as 9 teams look to punch their ticket to the NCAA tournament. Lock in your seat for all the tournament action now and get the best seats available to be right on top of the action. And thanks to our friends at Dave & Buster's and Main Event, we have Power Passes available and 4-pack single session tickets available now that include $60 in savings. For more information, visit VonBraunCenter.com or visit the VBC box office.
From heirloom diamonds to contemporary jewels, Loring & Company is the place to find something truly special. Whether shopping for a diamond ring for that once-in-a-lifetime occasion or marking a milestone birthday or personal achievement with a Rolex watch, you'll find just the thing in our edit of the world's most sought-after brands, including David Yurman, Roberto Coin, Marco Bicego, and Fopay. Expect a treasure trove of the world's most unique, even breathtaking earrings, rings, necklaces, and bracelets, making choosing just one piece a challenge in itself. Loring & Company Jewelers on Airport Road.
What's better than 2 end-zone sports bars? 3 end-zone sports bars. And we have you covered with our original location on University across from Red Lobster, in Jones Valley on Cecil Ashburn near Carl T. Jones, and our newest location in the Midtown District on McMurtry Drive opposite the Target Plaza. All locations feature the NFL Sunday Ticket, Tuesday half-price burgers, and Wednesday $1 jumbo wings all day long. You're never far from the end zone. End Zone Sports Bar.
It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
All right, let's get you ready for regional basketball today.
Right.
Okay, Northeast Regional,
today,
New Hope times 2, 10:30 and noon. The boys are going to play in a semifinal at 10:30. The girls will play at noon. The boys are taking on Aniana. The girls are taking on Anniston. At 1:30, DAR boys will take on Anniston. They're at Jacksonville State. And then Skyline will play at 3 and 4:45 in 1A girls and boys play. Of course, Craig McGill, the former head coach at New Hope, coaching Skyline.
The boys and the girls.
And the boys and the girls. So there's a lot of tie-ins there, and that's going to be 3 o'clock and 4:45 for that. And
that's quite an accomplishment, too. I mean, he's a Skyline grad, but have them both there. Yeah.
And then at the Northwest Regionals, Wallace State, Hansville, you got Deschler twice.
Yeah, the boys.
4A girls and 4A boys.
Same matchup, too, right? Same
Good
schools,
Hope
right?
and Good Hope. Yeah. The Good Hope girls and Deschler girls, that has been a battle over the past few years.
Yeah.
Janet Killen, the Hall of Fame coach there at Deschler,
Yes.
I mean, geez, she knows the path to Wallace State, Hansville, and to Birmingham very well.
Yes, she does.
Very, very well. Priceville at noon against Hamilton in girls. And then West Morgan boys at 1:30. They're going to take on Haleyville.
Those are a couple of Cinderella stories there. Haleyville, of course, they had a coaching change. But West Morgan did as well. Both of those guys. Sam Brown retired. He's now working the regional over at Wallace State. Had a great career. He had 2 stints over at West Morgan, no doubt about it. And then, of course, as we know, the coaching change at Haleyville, head coach went to Florence. So again, they've had to kind of reconfigure.
And then you've got 1A girls. Bell Green will be in action at 3 o'clock. And then Shoals Christian and Covenant Christian. How about Covenant Christian getting to the boys? That's where we're going to crown our first teams to the Final Four. The 1A girls and boys will play at 3 and 4:45 as Covenant Christian will look to get to the Final Four in Birmingham.
Yeah, no doubt. Covenant Christians, I think, trying to do a three-peat in boys.
Yeah.
They've been tremendous, no question about it. And like I said, Haleyville has been a great story. When you lose Dylan Burleson, who had got them to a Final Four about 3 years ago, and they lost a really good senior class last year. And then, of course, Bryant James transfers with Coach Burleson to Florence. His brother Drake graduated a year ago. But again, they've shown that program is still in strong enough shape to get to Wallace State. So congratulations to them. And look, Brian Pounders at Deschler, he's had a lot of really good teams. Scott, this will be a great chance for him to potentially get to a Final Four out of the 4A bracket.
Yeah. All right. So remember last week we were talking about how the college football playoffs had agreed to a rights with ESPN for $1 billion or whatever it was. Our good friend Ross Dellinger just putting it out there that MAC Commissioner John Steinbrecher, he is the College Football Management Committee Director, said, hold on, not so fast. They have not agreed to any media rights deal for the new college football playoffs. That the deal that ESPN that they put out there was not right. So...
Hi, this is Wes Neighbors. I'm here with Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Sam, tell the folks about Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Hey, Wes. Our company, Fleming Roofing and Restoration, specializes in commercial and residential roofing and repairs. I'm a fifth-generation Huntsvillian, and our family's been doing construction business in Huntsville area since 1965.
Sam, what kind of roofs does Fleming Roofing and Restoration do?
Our guys are skilled enough. We can come out and address any kind of leaks or issues you might have on your commercial, on your metal roofing, on your shingles. We can do anything, and we can offer you a solution to repair it or we can replace it.
Well, you guys also do